Okay, so today's lesson is about walls and creating walls and making sure that they're the right height. So I've just opened up my template and I've saved it as cottage as in the previous tutorial. You notice that I'm on the floor plan here. Obviously that's where you want to put your walls, etc. The only thing is that these are sheets, so you don't actually put them on the sheets first. What you're going to actually do is draw this in 3D and then put it onto the sheets. So you don't need any of these sheets at the moment. What we need to do is we need to come up. I'm just going to close ceiling plans, 3Ds, and all of these first. We're going to work on these sorts of areas up here. These are our floor plans, and that's where we put our walls. So I'm going to click on the ground floor. Everything disappears. That's okay, that's fine. So what we're going to do is make sure that you're under architecture, and we're going to click on walls, and you'll notice that properties come up. And this changed up the top here. What that means is that you can actually draw walls using this information here. I'm just going to open up the properties. Sometimes it opens up itself, that's fine, and it'll say properties. Okay, now at the moment this is set on stud timber 70mm, which is an internal wall. We need to do the outside wall. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go looking for, well, let's say for example we want a brick veneer wall. Now if you have a look, there it is there. We've got a brick veneer wall. You can notice that the outside wall is brick, the inside is timber, and you'll notice that it's got an air pocket in between, which is a standard brick veneer. We've got brick veneer timber, we've got brick veneer steel. In this case here, this one down here is actually a double brick, which is brick inside and brick outside, but we're going to go for a brick veneer timber, just for something pretty standard. Alright, if you click on that, you'll notice that you've got a crosshair, and that crosshair now, right there, is where you're going to start drawing. If you have a look up the top here, I've got line, I've got rectangle, I've got curves, I've got all sorts of shapes. Let's get used to these two here. They're probably the ones you're going to use most. Sometimes when you're doing curve work, etc., they're fine to use, but at the moment we're just going to use these two here. So if you've got a basic rectangular wall or a rectangular house, that's probably the one you want to use. Alright, location line. I like to change this from wall center line to finish face exterior or interior, just depending. What it means is that it measures things from the exterior. If you're doing interior walls, I would suggest that you made that interior. Base constraint is ground floor. Unconnected is a good idea, otherwise when you put your ceiling in, it will go up to your ceiling. You notice that the height here is 2400. Now that 2400, that needs to be the same height as what's actually in the elevations, and I'll show you that in a second. So all that's looking pretty good. I'm ready to draw. So I'm going to come over, I'm going to select the rectangular command because I've got a basic cottage, and I'm just going to draw that in there like that. You notice it's got some dimensions up there. We're in sketch mode, so there we go. I just clicked on that, and I can come over and I can change these to whatever I need. So if I've got like a 6 meter, so it's 6,000 millimeters, and I've got this one here. I'm going to make this one 11 meters, which is 11,000 millimeters. Everything is in millimeters. Hit enter. You'll notice that that's actually resized it for me, and I'm right to go. If we zoom in, you can see that I'm just going to hit escape there. Gets rid of everything. I've got back to my normal cursor. I can close that properties if I like. I will. I'll do that right now. That's okay. And you'll notice that it's got the Australian standards on the outside. You know that that's the brick wall. On the inside, you'll notice that it's got the normal timber wall, and in between it's got that air pocket. Let's say that you made a mistake. Alright, let's say that the brick wall turned up on the inside. All you need to do is to click on it and click this little button, and it turns it around. If you want to get all of the brick on the inside, and this is for any wall, what you do is you go anti-clockwise when you create your wall. and it will put everything reverse. So I went clockwise with this. That's why everything was on the outside. So just check that. You can change it anytime you like. There it goes. Alright, so we've got our first wall. That's a good start. I'm just going to check that that aligns with my elevation. So if you look over here, I'll just open up my elevations. I've got my east elevation, north, south, west. Any one of them you can click on. You'll notice that there's my wall. I can see the outside, the brick wall, and you can see that the level is 2400. If you've got one of the old templates, you'll notice that it's 4000, which is the normal height for a high-rise building. You can change that just by double clicking on it. Change that to 2400 or 2700, whatever your wall height's going to be, and hit enter, and you should be right. Okay, so let's go back to our ground floor. We've got our dimension. We've got our wall. It's the right size I want. We're going to start putting in internal walls. You notice that I haven't got any windows or doors in it yet. You do all your all your walls first. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create a wall. Notice the properties has come up again. There it is. And I'm going to use internal walls. Now I'm going to make the internal walls timber stud 70 millimeters. Means that they're 70 millimeters wide. You notice that there's stud timber 90. You can also get steel as well. I'm just going to use the stud timber 70. Notice at the top here, it's exterior face. If I use that, it will measure to the outside of this wall here. That's not where I want it to go. So I'm going to change that to face finish interior. What it'll now do is when I dimension it, it'll make it to this inside wall. Base offset, I don't want to offset it. I want the ground floor there, and I want it unconnected. So I think we're pretty right to go. So let's have a go at this. I'm just going to click that in there. I'm in line command here. I don't want to use that one because I'm going to put specific rooms in it. Obviously, you'll be working off a drawing of some sort. So if I click on that, I can continue. We're in sketch mode. If I've got a couple of rooms here, I'm not going to leave spaces for the doors or the windows or anything like that because they come in automatically later. I'll show you when you put a window in. So okay, I'm going to put another wall. I'm still in stud timber wall 70 mil, and I'm going to put a wall down here. Now, if I hit escape, I get out of that, and you'll notice that I want to dimension these. So if I click on that, I can click on that. It's to the inside of the wall, and I want that to be 2400 wide. There it goes. It's just moved it. If I come along here and hit that, I can make this wall here. Let's make that 2100. And of course, you'll be working off a drawing. And this one here, that should add up to be correct on whatever that total is there. Alright, so what's the advantages of this, or what's the disadvantages? I would not do what I did then, put these three walls in, because it makes it really difficult to dimension over here. This is alright at the moment, but I now have to remember what the dimension is from there to there, and then change this one here. So if I change that one there to, say, 900, you can see that it's moved that over there like that. And that might be okay. And obviously you'd have a whole heap of other walls there as well. Okay, so that's how you put walls in. If you want to check to see what it looks like, come up to this little button up the top here. It's got a picture of a house. You can click on it and you can hit default 3D view, and you can actually see what your house is starting to look like. Alright, I'm just going to close this property here. If you have a look at that, you can see that you've got this cube out the side here. You can click on the top, you can spin it round, all that sort of stuff. Now that actually looks like our ground floor, and I know we've got our ground floor highlighted over here, but you've got to remember we're in 3D mode. So that's the 3D mode there. That's not where you want to be to do drawings. That's not strictly true, but you need to get into the habit of making sure that you put it in the right place. So I'm going to go click on ground floor, and it goes back to this. You can notice that that cube is gone up in the corner. Alright, if I wanted to put some different walls in for some reason, So for example, I'm going to click on that, open up my properties. I'm going to put in a larger wall, it might be for support or whatever, timber stud, finish face interior, that's where I want it. I don't want to offset it and I don't want it connected, and it's 2400 high. So that's pretty good, and I might decide that I have to put a toilet in the corner here or something like that, and there it is there. Alright, once I got that done, just hit escape, and if you click on one of those you can resize them. Alright, so for example, if I wanted that 1200 wide, there you go, it's no problems. But you notice it gives me that option when I selected it to put the wall and change it around. But with these stud walls, the insides are identical, so it makes no difference at all. Alright, so now you know how to put walls in. Okay, you're ready to have some fun. Go get a hold of that drawing, put your walls in where you need them, and if you need to know about windows and doors and how to put them in there in the next tutorial. Alright, have fun.